What the fuck?
Thanks again, Rogues. I thought I was done for. Listen, while I was on that train, I found out there are other rebels at the main prison facility. Crix Nadine and his commanders will follow us in and get them out. Any idea what we're up against? Unknown. Switching power to front deflector screens.
I've been away visiting family the last couple of weeks, which has been very overdue, frankly. While there, I was able to pick up some cool things to add to my collection, and in time I'll be getting back to that, which I'm excited about, but it's also been hard to talk about little plastic figures that are meant to represent characters who I loved reading about or watching on TV when I was a kid. Of course, my ADHD brain has been hyperfixated and unable to look away from the news. So as you can imagine, any comfort that my escapism love of Star Wars would normally afford has kind of disappeared or gone out the window. A big part of that is finding ourselves in this new economic war, this trade war that the US has started, as well as the possibility and concern that I have of annexation or even an invasion. You may think I'm being absurd, but it's absurd to me that I'm agreeing with Doug Ford saying, let's cut off the energy. If a year ago you would have told me I'd agree with Doug Ford about something, then I'd have called you nuts. So here we are, in this period where I don't know what's happening, I can't pretend to know what's going to happen or what's bluster anymore. But it's easy to tell what's right, and it's as simple as making statements like trans rights are human rights. Being afraid of immigrants is absurd and stupid. Canada has failed its indigenous population. Everyone deserves to have access to life-saving healthcare. Queer people exist, and get used to it because they're not going anywhere. The fact that people think that this is something that they have the right to legislate is beyond belief. You got that little nerd going on TV saying, I'm only aware of two genders, as if that's what makes it real, or as if nobody can pick up on his dog whistle. And unfortunately, I'm worried it might work. So besides me being angry, what does this mean for a YouTube channel that's basically around Star Wars collecting? It means I'm going to start looking at building that dream Star Wars collection I mentioned in the What's Up for 2025 video. I am going to start to source a lot of my collection or collecting now from local thrift shops and comic book stores, as well as Canadian online sellers. There are some Black Series pre-orders that I still have outstanding, and I'm going to honor those because I don't want to leave the seller in the lurch, but I'm not going to platform them. I've also stopped ordering from Amazon, as well as sourcing figures, be they Black Series, vintage, or anything else, from Amazon. Now I am still going to support my local comic book store and continue my pull list. It is a rock and a hard place situation, because Marvel, and by extension Disney, cowered to Trump and pulled back their DEI policies. But I also don't want my local comic book store, as I'd said, a safe place for people to suffer because of that. So I have made the decision to continue that, to make sure that at least I'm supporting a local business. I'm also going to focus more on reading some of the Legends novels and books that I haven't read, and keeping up with the newer canon as well. Being able to support Canadian booksellers is something that I want to do, and similar to the comics in my pull list, it is something I feel I can justify, or I am able to sort of pivot to, and away from Amazon again. I had already been planning to start switching directions or talking more about reading Star Wars and how I read Star Wars, so this seems like a good opportunity to sort of make that change. Again, a lot of the focus is going to be buying secondhand or thrifted books as well, trying to see what I can do to support Canadian booksellers and retailers as well, instead of just purchasing from Amazon. In other aspects of my personal life as well, I've tried to keep an elbows up mentality and reducing any US spending and focusing on Canadian products and supporting Canadian business, because frankly, that's what needs to be done at this time. If you follow me on Threads, you've already seen that I think bourbon is gross and rye is the way to go. I'll tell you, I'm a Wiser's guy. And the only thing I've ever done with bourbon is putting it in my beer to calm my American friends down. So that's what you can expect from this channel moving forward. So that's what we have here going forward. A place where hopefully everyone feels comfortable to leave a comment or to talk about Star Wars. A place that recognizes just basic decency to each other is important. And once more, affirming that trans rights are human rights is not a political statement. That is not part of any sort of woke agenda. It's just the reality. To say a franchise that people used to complain about after episode 1 came out is too woke or has been ruined by wokeness, again, is fucking stupid. Star Wars hasn't been ruined by any sort of political agenda. If anything, I would argue that it's people who complain about Star Wars reflecting our modern world and being more comfortable putting people of color or queer people in this universe, and how that doesn't make them feel like special little boys is what would ruin Star Wars. I'm going to start wrapping it up because I've already worked myself up more than enough, and I'm frankly angry and tired, and as I said at the start, still scared. But I think I'll leave you with the final thought that I gotta really dust off that copy of Milton Acorn's More Poems for People. In the essay, he says to write poems that give pleasure to your friends and pain to your enemies. And maybe that's something I should start to try and do a little more. I know that's not necessarily going to translate to YouTube because it was written in the 70s. And we do have the convenience of being able to turn off anyone who we don't agree with. But if there's nothing that I've said so far that's made you uncomfortable, chances are you'll enjoy where I'm going or this direction. If you think I've fallen victim to the woke mind virus, even though your daddy Musk had said it was purged, you've probably stopped listening, and that's good. I want to believe I'm a decent person. And at the very least, I think a decent person would say and agree with what I have today. I'm going to say thank you for watching and hope to see you next time.
Good work, Rogue. General Nadine, we'll buy your boys around when we get back to the fleet. You're on, Commander Skywalker. Good luck.
Until then, be decent to each other. And as always, remember, McClunky.